Back in the 1200s, Venice wasn't just another city, it was a superpower. Its ships ruled the Mediterranean and its merchants got rich beyond imagination. But their biggest moneymaker wasn't spices or silk, it was glass. Venetian glass was clearer, stronger, and more colorful than anything else on Earth. Rich people across Europe would pay crazy prices for it. One single fancy goblet could cost more than a year's wages for a normal worker. The rulers of Venice knew one thing: if their enemies learned how to make this glass, Venice's wealth would disappear overnight. So they made a ruthless decision. In 1291, the Doge, the leader of Venice, ordered every single glass furnace moved to one small island called Murano. No more glassmaking inside the crowded city. From now on, it would happen only on Murano. Why? Two reasons. First, the furnaces kept catching the wooden city on fire. Second, and more important, they wanted to trap the knowledge on an island where they could control every single person who knew the secret. Murano was only a short boat ride from Venice, but for the glassmakers, it became their whole world. The government gave them nice houses and high status. Glassmakers were so important that they were allowed to wear swords and marry into noble families, something normal workers could only dream of. Their wives and daughters even got special privileges. But here's the catch: they were prisoners in golden cages. The law was crystal clear. No glassmaker was allowed to leave Murano without special permission. If they tried to sneak away, or if they taught the secret to foreigners, the punishment wasn't jail. It was death. Not just for the man, sometimes for his entire family. Venice turned the island into a fortress of secrets. Guards watched the shores. Boats were searched. And the Council of 10 Venice's ruthless secret police made sure nobody escaped with the recipe for their liquid gold. The glassmakers didn't just blow pretty vases. They created something even more revolutionary: crystal clear glass called cristallo, and later, perfect mirrors that reflected the world like magic. But making those mirrors was pure poison. They used a deadly mixture of mercury and tin to coat the back of the glass. The shiny silver layer that made mirrors so valuable came from breathing in toxic mercury fumes every single day. Workers slowly went mad. Their teeth fell out. Their hands shook. Many died young with strange tremors and rotting gums. Yet they kept working because the pay was good, and refusing meant death anyway. The Venetian government knew the process was killing them. They didn't care. As long as the secret stayed on Murano, the money kept flowing into the city's pockets. If someone actually managed to escape Murano and tried to set up a glass workshop in another country, Venice didn't waste time with trials. They sent assassins. Historical records show Venetian agents tracking down defectors in France, England, and even as far as Constantinople. Some were stabbed, others simply disappeared. But many were poisoned. Slow-acting toxins slipped into their wine or food so it looked like natural sickness. One famous case in the 1600s, a group of Murano glassmakers who fled to France started making mirrors for the French king. Within months, several of them died under very suspicious circumstances. Doctors at the time couldn't explain the symptoms, but we know now. It was Venice protecting its billion-dollar secret with poison. The message was loud and clear: leave Murano, and you will never be safe. By the 1700s and 1800s, the world finally caught up. Other countries stole the techniques, sometimes with help from bribed or kidnapped workers. The strict laws slowly relaxed. Murano glassmakers could finally travel. Today, Murano is famous for its colorful glass art. Tourists visit, buy souvenirs, and take selfies. Very few know that the beautiful island was once a high-security prison where men were trapped, slowly poisoned by their own work, and sometimes murdered by their own government, all to protect a simple recipe of sand, fire, and mercury. Next time you look in a mirror or raise a wine glass, remember the men of Murano. Their deadly secret built one of history's richest cities, and Venice was willing to kill and poison its own people to keep it. If you want more dark stories behind everyday things we take for granted, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We've got a ton more weird history coming. What do you think? Was Venice too cruel, or just smart businessmen? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. But here's the darkest part that still shocks historians today. In October 1667, two highly skilled Murano glassmakers were working in Paris for the French King Louis XIV. They had been secretly brought there to teach the French how to make perfect Venetian-style mirrors. Just 3 weeks apart, both men suddenly fell violently ill, terrible stomach pains, vomiting, and burning insides. They died in agony. It didn't look like normal sickness. Doctors at the time were confused. But modern historians who studied the old records found something chilling. Venice's secret police, the powerful Council of Ten, had been watching these men closely. When they realized the glassmakers were sharing the forbidden mirror-making technique, especially the deadly mercury amalgam, Venice took action. They didn't send swordsmen this time. They used poison. One single sentence in an old Venetian document proves it. It simply says the men were dealt with so the secret would not spread. That cold, bureaucratic line hides cold-blooded murder by poison. This wasn't the only case. Throughout the 16th and 17th centuries, glassmakers who dared to leave Murano and work for foreign kings often met sudden, mysterious ends. Some were stabbed and thrown into canals, the Venice way of saying eaten by a salamander. Others simply vanished. Many more were poisoned slowly so it looked like natural illness. The message from Venice was terrifyingly clear. Our secret is worth more than your life. Even the families left behind on Murano sometimes paid the price. If a master fled, his wife and children could be thrown in prison as hostages. For almost 500 years, Venice's brutal system worked. Murano glass stayed the most valuable and mysterious in the world, but no secret lasts forever. In 1612, an Italian priest named Antonio Neri published a book called L'arte vitraria, the art of glass. He openly revealed many Venetian techniques that had been guarded for centuries. Suddenly, anyone who could read could start copying the methods. Then came competition from Bohemia, modern Czech Republic, France, and England. They started making high-quality glass cheaper and in larger quantities. Venetian glassmakers slowly began to lose their monopoly. By the 1700s and 1800s, the strict laws relaxed. Glassmakers were finally allowed to travel and teach freely. In 1807, Napoleon even closed many Murano factories for a while, but the tradition refused to die. Today, Murano is still alive and famous worldwide for its colorful, hand-blown glass art. Tourists flock to the island, watch live demonstrations, and buy beautiful chandeliers, vases, and jewelry. Very few visitors realize they are walking on ground where men once lived as privileged prisoners, breathed deadly mercury fumes every day, and sometimes paid with their lives just to protect a recipe made of sand, fire, and poison. So what can we learn from this dark chapter of Murano's history? The story of the poison glassmakers is much more than just an old tale about Venice and mirrors. It shows us how far humans are willing to go for power, wealth, and secrets. For nearly 500 years, Venice turned a beautiful island into a golden prison. They gave their best craftsmen luxury, respect, and money, but took away their freedom. They let them breathe deadly mercury every single day, knowing it was slowly killing them. And when anyone tried to escape with the secret, the government didn't hesitate to use poison, assassins, or threats against their families. All of this just to protect a recipe made from sand and fire. Today, when you look at a piece of Murano glass, it still looks magical. The colors are bright, the shapes are elegant, and the craftsmanship is world-class. But now you know the hidden cost behind that beauty. Every shiny mirror, every delicate vase, and every sparkling chandelier carries a silent memory, the memory of men who were trapped on an island, poisoned by their own hands, and sometimes murdered by their own city. Also, Venice could stay rich and powerful. This is the strange truth behind one of the most everyday things we take for granted. Glass is not just glass. It is a survivor of greed, control, and deadly secrets. Final message to the audience: thank you for watching this episode of Weird Everyday History. We went from a paradise island to a deadly prison, from beautiful crystal to toxic mercury, and from genius craftsmanship to cold-blooded murder by poison. If this story shocked you, made you think, or gave you chills, hit that like button. It helps more people discover these forgotten dark stories. Make sure you're subscribed and the notification bell is turned on, because next time we're uncovering another bizarre truth behind something you use every single day. Now it's your turn. Tell me in the comments, do you think Venice was too cruel for poisoning and trapping their own glassmakers? Or were they just smart and ruthless businessmen protecting their empire? Would you have risked everything to escape Murano if you were a glassmaker back then? Drop your honest thoughts below. I read every single comment. If you enjoyed this video, share it with a friend who loves weird history facts. Until next time, keep questioning the ordinary things around you, because behind almost Everything we use today, there's a weird, dark, and fascinating story waiting to be told. See you in the next episode.